This is a dog playing games with you. We can put that right easy. But when we're joking about it, I'll tell you two nice stories to go with food. One is that just before I left for Australia, well, America, I did a 3.5 month tour last year, which started in the States, and then in Chicago, then Yellowstone, and then I went on down to Australia and New Zealand. Before I left, there was a German Shepherd brought into shelter who was 9 months old, and a third of the body weight was down. She was a mess. And she was mean. And they kept saying to me, you were hand feeding her. And my dog listener, Tolly, ran and he said, Jan, have I got to gesture it and take it away? I went, yeah. You've got to show the canine the rules. And she went to the manager of the shelter and said, what we've got to do is a thing called gesture eating. Now, before you think I'm really clever and came up with this idea, this was taught to me by a Druid Peak individual, number 40, fantastic female, and she showed me this gesture eating. She was gesture eating for a coyote. So all we do was we have something you could eat on a plate, the dog's food there, you eat what you're going to do. You don't look at the dog going, look, no, it's not me. No. Eat you. It can be a cracker, it can be a grape. I don't want it to be a Snickers bar. I'm not asking everybody to get I'm thinking your way fine. And then when you've finished eating, you put the food down and you walk away. Now, how many people have seen this test where you test a dog's temperament by just putting your hand in their food? You're setting the dog up to fail. You're going to kill a good dog. You don't mean to, you're going to kill a good dog. And this is why. In their feeding system, kind of the hierarchy works. So if you're in a pack of, say, 12 and you're number 7, when you get onto the food, who's going to be challenging you? Sorry? 8? Below you. And what have you got every right to do to that one? Tell them off. Because the leaders, those above, you've already eaten. I mean, I can just looking at some of the gentlemen in the audience here, I'd love to see your face. If you were sitting in a restaurant and a waiter comes over, gives you a meal, and tries to take it, you go, my food! But even when the waiter comes up to you and stands near you, is it all right? You think, yeah, go away. I want my dinner. So a dog's like us is a predator. And I thought, this is putting pressure on. It's wrong. So anyway, we gestually put the food down. If the dog does not start to eat, if it does anything, walks away, if it growls, anything, the food's taken away. That's it. And they don't get offered again until next meal time. By golly, if fussy eaters become unfussy. And this girl, as I say, the manager of the shelter was saying, you can't do this, she's hungry. I said, you're not changing. You're doing the same thing and expecting a different result. Give her the rules. She knows them. She's wired for them. And bless her, within 2 days she was eating fine. And ironically, when I got to Melbourne, I was teaching there, they had a dog in there, 5 months they were hand feeding it, couldn't put weight on it. 5 months. So I said, gesture eat, take the food away. 3 days later, it's eating fine, and within 2 weeks it's in a new home. Because they know these rules. These are their rules, not ours. But they kind of are ours, because my father told me, reminded me of a lovely story. It wasn't so lovely, I suppose. He grew up in his early days in the 20s, when there was a depression in this country and ours. You know, you sneeze, we catch the cold, thank you. But we're finally out of debt to you. Got rid of that. We don't owe you any money anymore. That's how this is. We're entwined. Anyway, my dad, there wasn't much work, and what work there was very poorly paid. But my grandfather had a job. And my grandmother would bring them money home on Friday, and my grandmother would divvy it out, and then Saturday she'd go shopping, and Sunday would be roast dinner, and then they'd have cold meats, then stews. And by Thursday, Friday, Saturday, there wasn't a lot left. And the kids were having bread with just dripping from meat. But my grandfather said, have a meal. Why? Why should he eat when his kids were going without? He was working. What was coming was his. That's what the leadership does. And he would always leave a little bit of food, 4 little pieces of food for the kids. You know, that kind of just looking after his kids too. But you see, we get so caught up in our plenty. I mean, we have our food stores, we have our freezers. Oh, for you guys, you just put it outside. We have all this, and we get so complacent, and we feel we're so apart from the nature of things, but we're not. We're there too. So my father actually experienced that. So we just don't, and my grandma brought me up and saying, don't play with your food. You don't know. So don't play with it. Gesture it, put it down, walk away. Dogs are going to get the message. And they get it too darn quick. And you get dogs that are growling, all sorts of things. You dismiss it so easily. But sadly, I actually saw a program. I was in Holland teaching a course and doing a presentation like this. And there was a thing on one of your rescue shelters in Phoenix, Arizona. And they had rescued a boxer. It was 3 weeks without food or sustenance, because the owner just left it. When they brought it out, it was drinking from puddles, it was desperate. They took it to the shelter, and this big doe-eyed creature just sat there as it drew blood to check if it got, it just sat there. And I'm watching this, and I'm getting a sick feeling in my stomach. I thought, I know what's coming. Because then they had to test it. This animal that sat there and had this blood drawn, no problem, for resource gardening. And when they brought the food out and it growled, when they went to take it away, they said, we've got to euthanize it because it was starving! You change them around by gesturing, you put the food down and walking away. Every time it works. We never have to lose them. Which is going to create a problem for the shelters because we're not going to be able to kill as many. So that's kind of, I'll live with that. So just don't play with the food. And if you're going to ask a dog to do something to begin with, you can use food to walk. Come on, play with it, make it fun. You're bringing that dog into it. The dog's got a very good attitude. It's like you and me. What's in it for me? What's in it for me? Give us a reason. Oh, that's a good reason. That's okay. And in England, we have a thing about do not give dog food for doing things because it is bribery. Yeah. So when at the end of the month your employer goes to give you your salary, I want you to go, no, you keep the money. I'll fix that. Get out of here. Get real. Wise up. And to begin with, it's like a child when you start manners. I mean, how many dogs can say when grandma comes and gives you a piece of chocolate, you've got to say thank you? I mean, can you imagine the kids still? You start with thank you until they get it. And he says, I've really upset people tonight. I know, they get the refreshments ready. So, when I say give them a reason, and you build into that, and then it goes from food just to you calling them, and they think, wow, you're the bee's knees, you're the best. And so you're building that bond. So the food issue, just don't play with food. Then you've nailed that one. I want you to see these 4 areas, like 4 legs on a chair, like this. And before anybody tells me about a 3-legged stool, I'm going to point out how stable is that time. Or your 4 wheels in a car. How far can you go if one wheel's not there, or flat tire? You can't. You've got to get them right. And so they're equally important to the canine. So that's the food. There's more examples there are in the book, the DVD and everything. But just give you a taster for those that are absolutely new to this. I want you to see how simple it is. And you never get cross because you're teaching. Have I got any school teachers here? Okay, yeah, I have got school teachers. Now, I want you to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a trained teacher, my daughter is. But I truly believe it is impossible to take information and force it into an unreceptive brain. Now, my teachers are, you can't, can you? You can't take information and force it. I tell you, you go and lift the bonnet of a car. Oh, you, it's the hood. You see what I mean? We got hood, we got hood, we got trunk to get out of it. I'm coming up, you see language. Oh. And we're all supposed to speak English. But the thing is, if you lift that hood up and go to me, look, I go, I'm tired. I'm not interested. Because when my car went wrong just where I came out and I rang up and I said, fix it. I'm doing what I do, you fix it. You've got to make the other want it. And then a good teacher facilitates learning and make the other want the information and make it fun, yeah? And that's what a teacher's role is. You ask kids, you ask them about their favourite teacher, their favourite subject. They never go, yep, to the teacher. You ask them about their least favourite subject, There was a teacher like Harry. You know, they go hand in hand. I mean, when I was a kid, again, as I say, in 90 hours frozen to death, when I learned there were two subjects that were important, English and maths. In English, I learned a love of literature. In maths, I learned to duck. Because the teacher would write on the blackboard the question and go, what's the answer to that, Fennell? And I'd come over with that terrorised look, you know. And when I got it wrong, hold rubber, oomph. Am I good at maths now? I love literature. Because we're a good teacher.